This year, we're raising money in Chris's honor for St. David's Hospice in Newport, Wales. They work solely off of donations, and the things they do there is nothing short of amazing. Chris was only 33 years old when he passed away last year. He was always such a loving individual who befriended everyone. His main goals was to make sure everyone around him were happy, whether it be by lending an ear, telling a joke, or just doing something stupid so you could laugh at him. He had two brothers, one who passed at a young age and another, Richard. His father passed a few years ago, and he is survived by his mother, Lynn. His family was amazing, and I could see how he turned out to be such a kind soul and a bright light in many people's lives. He also had a nephew, Blake, who he was very close to. Chris was a very private person and didn't want to talk about how sick he was. He didn't want anyone to look at him with sympathy or pity. As a young boy, he spent a lot of time in the hospital with issues to his legs, something he was a bit self-conscious about. He brought a light to so many in the gaming community. When Chris passed, I got so many messages from people reaching out to find out if it was really true. Messages upon messages poured in about how much he changed their lives. People who felt like they struggled to make friends, had no one to talk to. People who had pretty much given up on life found this amazing human who just loved and wanted to be loved back. He has no idea how much he touched people's lives.
Chunks,
That's not the
I
right
knew
song,
him,
dude.
was a wholesome dude that would help anybody, game with anybody, give advice to anybody, and he loved my best friend, Danny Diamonds, through and through. Every inch of her, every piece of her. That man, if you had the pleasure of meeting him and being his friend, you felt honored. One of the greatest humans I've ever known.
Oh no.
What'd you do?
Look, I'm drinking gasoline. This
Oh,
is
no.
not good.
Why are you drinking it?
I don't know.
You should probably stop.
I can't stop.
Flex your
What's he
ass.
doing?
Drinking
Is
gas?
that gas? Oh my god.
This guy.
When I first met Chris, he was a quiet guy. He kept to himself. But as I got to know him more, he became more outspoken and he always loved to laugh. And man, could that guy crack a joke. And when you would crack a joke, he would just start laughing his ass off. He really felt like a second dad to me. I hope he knew that. And I hope he knows I'll be here and I'm going to try to make him proud.
So, I met Marshy back in early 2017 when I first started playing Rust. It was like my third or fourth wipe. I had joined a buddy of mine by the name of J-Rod, and almost immediately Marshy and I hit it off. Back then he was known as the Real Ninja 69. He's gone through several online identities. But we hit it off, we worked together, we built a group, and then that group fell apart, but me and Marshy ended up still working together. Throughout the years, we gamed and played Rust together, thousands of hours together. He moved on to GTA Online, and I tried giving that a go, but it wasn't for me. But I joined the Army in 2018. Marshy wished me luck, and that was probably one of the best things. I've had some hard times in my life, and especially in the early years. He helped me through a lot. We were brothers. I felt like when we logged on together, the world kind of melted away, and the problems that came along with it also melted away. He was my best friend. And there's been a very few people, and the world that I can call that. But Marshy was my brother. I would have done anything for him. Chris, I love you, bro. I miss you every single day. I miss being able to talk to you. You brought a lot of light and hope to my life, especially when I was feeling really dark about myself, and we could talk about things that I couldn't talk to my wife and family about. It hurts to miss you. It hurts to see you not come online. And I'm honored that we got to say goodbye. That it was one of the calls to let me know what was going on. Queen and I would have probably given anything in the world for you, and we would have. You were family to us, and you always will be family to us. And that goes for Danny as well. You guys being a couple and all, you guys will be family. And I just gotta say I miss you, bro. The gaming isn't quite the same without knowing that you could possibly hop on for duos. Those smart-ass marks, man. Man, some of your catchphrases and the things that you would call me and the things I would call you made me laugh so hard. And it's still a running joke inside my family. It's a running joke between me and Queen. We'll call each other that just to remind us of the time we spent together. But I do know we'll meet again, and when we do, I want to buy you that beer I owe you. I can see us sitting in a pub somewhere, just having a good old chat and talking about the old times and the good times and the new times and everything else. And I hope one day I'll see you again, buddy. I hope so. I love you, bro. Always your friend, the King of Scots, Dard, however you want to call me. But you can always call me Darian, and you can always call me friend. I miss you.
Hey, you. Slap. Slap, 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 slap. I ain't got no titties on this one, you do. So titty slap you.
You got my boobs?
What? He ain't got no man boobs. Just because he likes pizza doesn't mean he's got man boobs. Turn around, turn around, turn around.
Nope.
Slap that ass.
Oh my. You? Toxic.
You. Toxic. You a bitch.
Toxic.
What's up, guys? It's Reware here. I'm gonna be talking about my friend Chris, aka Chunks. I don't often make new friends, but Chris and I became fast friends. We had a similar sense of humor, and we piggybacked off each other's jokes pretty easily. I first met him through GTARP because of Danny. The three of us started role-playing on a different server than we originally had been on, and on the other server we just had a lot of fun together because I wasn't working a whole bunch and actually had time to do stuff. After some time, the three of us just started playing different games together, whether it was Warzone or Bloons. We played a ton of that game. He was the type of dude that once we got to really know each other, he was hitting me up to play games, even if Danny wasn't around. He hit me up a few times for advice because he really cared for Danny. I only knew him for a short amount of time before he was diagnosed, but I felt like I knew him for years. He was a one-of-a-kind dude that never put himself first. And he'll definitely never be forgotten.
When he said before we go to the mech hub, I still thought we were gonna make it to the mech hub.
Same.
Correct. Yeah, I feel that. Marker. And stuff. I know, right?
We're gonna make it, okay? Have faith.
Oh boy. Just get it close enough for me to be able to repair it.
Taps the sign pole. Car dies.
I was thinking the same thing. I wasn't gonna say it out loud and jinx us. Hey guys, Danny here. I met Chris through 5M. My friend talked me into playing Grand Theft Auto roleplay, and we flew into a city where Chris happened to be. At first, Chris and I just kind of bumped into each other. I'll be honest, I thought I drove him crazy. I have a very perverted sense of humor, and I used to make jokes and I would just hear him sigh or hear him say things like, oh God. I actually remember one that always comes to mind, and I always found it really funny, is Terry used to say that I was a stepsister, and one time he said that Chris was his stepdad, and I said, wait, if you're my stepbro and he's your stepdad, does that mean I get to call him daddy? And he gulped and said, oh God, and it just made my day. I never expected any of that joking passing by to turn into anything. We started hanging out in the city, and I remember the first night that we sat down and actually had a proper conversation.
I'm gonna squeeze your titties.
Oh my God!
I was basically, so 4 minutes basically. And it'll pop up there. And if you use your phone to look and zoom in, you'll be able to see it. It's gonna be a long ago. So.
Sat there for 7 hours. He took me over to see the ghosts. We sat on the front of his car just talking. And there was just something about him. I knew I should have went to bed, but I didn't want to. I just ended up staying up, just kept talking to him. It was amazing. That was the start of something epic. I spent the next 2 or 3 days hanging out with him in city without even realizing I hadn't spoke to any of my other friends at all. But we started dating in the city. But it just felt so, I don't know, we clicked so well. We talked about a lot of things, RP and IRL. And I remember sitting there thinking I'm terrified. I actually like this guy. And one of my biggest rules was not to date somebody long distance, because I didn't think I wanted to do that again. But it turned out to be the best relationship I ever had. I remember writing my friend Nev and telling her that she needed to pull me away, that I was absolutely terrified for how much I could feel myself falling for this guy. And I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it was. Just something about him was just drawing me to him. And we dated in the city, and we hung out. Less than a week later, we were dating outside the city together. And I'd be lying if I didn't tell you guys that we said I love you before we ever started dating. It was kind of crazy. The word was on my mind all day that day, and I went, nope, you just started talking to this guy. How could you be in love with him? And me previously being married in that, I was terrified. I didn't think I'd date again. I actually remember just telling one of my friends that I had no intentions of dating for a while when Chris came into my life. But, you know, fate crossed our paths for a reason. And when he told me I love you, I legit just, my brain shut off. And I actually have a clip of him saying it.
Just when let's go this way. I love you.
And then I felt bad because I didn't say it back because I was in such shock that he felt the same way. And I remember us talking about it later that night. And that's when he was like, it's funny, we've already said I love you and we're not even dating in head. That means like outside the city officially. And he was right. We weren't, and it was crazy. And I kept asking myself if I was being stupid. But there's just some people that you really get drawn to, that life just tells you. Like, as dumb as it is, I never believed in soulmates. I never believed in happy ever endings and fairy tale bullshit. Not in the life that I've had. But let me tell you, he changed all of that. We were so perfect together. I remember I used to say that if a couple is not arguing, has 0 arguments, somebody in the relationship is lying. But I was wrong, because it doesn't always have to be an argument. Like with us, when we bumped heads, it was a conversation. It was trying to understand the other one, because as much as we spoke the same language, there were definitely some cultural barriers. Man, did I fucking love that man. I was not ever the type to want to hang around my significant other all the time. You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that, you know what I mean? But he showed me that you could have fun every day. You really, truly could be best friends with your significant other. You could play games together. You could talk about everything. And the biggest thing, I think, is, while it obviously sucks I couldn't hug him every day or bring him soup when he was sick, it made us, I feel like, fall in love on a deeper level, because we had to go without that physical, which physical is definitely my love language. So it was a struggle, but we learned to love from a distance. And let me tell you, the first time I ever went over to Wales, I felt like I was in a world of my own. The day didn't matter, time didn't matter. I was losing track of days and hours, and we slept when we were tired and like did everything else when we were awake. It was heaven. It was like we were on this island alone, just the two of us, and nothing else in the world mattered. And I had so much fun. I didn't want to come home. If I didn't have kids, I probably wouldn't have come home. Oh, but he was so sweet, and he took such good care of me while I was there. When he was sleeping a lot more, or he was really worn out and tired, I knew something wasn't right. And I urged him to go to the doctor. And he did. And they did scans and checks and biopsies. And I made sure that he had this lump he found checked out. I'll be honest, I feel like that might have aggravated the cancer a bit. Next thing I knew, he was going in and out of the hospital a lot. We weren't getting to hang out as much, which is scary. It's scary when you're 3,000 miles apart and you can't do anything except wait for a phone call. And when he called me to tell me he had news, I have a bit of a medical background and I was already aware of what I was about to be told. But when he said it, it just made things so real. And somebody who would like to remain unnamed was kind enough to give me the money to fly over immediately So I asked him when he would be moved from the hospital to St. David's and when it would be okay for me to come because I wanted to come as soon as possible. We decided on a date. I booked my flight, I packed my things, and off I went. They had originally told me at St. David's that I could stay for 2 or 3 nights and then I would have to stay like a night or two away. And that was okay because his bungalow was literally up the street, like a block away. And we were like, that's fine, I'll go stay there. Well, they never did ask me to leave. And I was curious about it. And there were times that I was like, hey, I'm going to go need to take a shower or go wash my clothes. And he always looked so sad when I was going to leave that I didn't have the heart to. And the nurses showed me where I could go shower. And they would wash my clothes with all the sheets and stuff that they did for the hospice itself. And I remember asking if it was still okay for me to stay there because I didn't want, I know it's a tough time for families and I didn't want them to feel like they needed to tell me to go home, but they were scared to. And they said that they had decided after seeing the change in him from when I got there that they were okay with me just staying there. So there we stayed. We had his PlayStation. We watched shows together. And I tried to help him as much as he'd allow. At the end of the day, he's a guy. And he wanted to stay independent. And there were some rough nights. But every day he would wake up and he would scoot himself into the wheelchair. He could walk, but he was so weak that they were scared to actually allow him to walk. So they gave him a wheelchair, and he would get himself into the wheelchair, and he would look over at me, and he'd say, babe, you know how much I love you, right? I tried to stay strong, and I made myself proud while I was there. We talked about a lot of things, the things that I would do in the upcoming year. He knew how streaming and everything was for me, so he would ask me about my goals, and we would talk about things like where we would go first once he got out. I let him pretend or deny that he was not leaving that place, but stayed strong. I don't think I cried in front of him until that very last day. The doctors had asked to speak to me. They took me into a room to tell me that they were pretty sure that he wouldn't make it to the weekend. I was already aware. I know what happens to your body when it starts shutting down, and I'd seen all the signs. To hear them say it though confirmed my suspicions. And I came back and he always knew when something was wrong. And he said, what's the matter? I was like, nothing. And he looked at me like, I'm gonna allow you to lie. It's okay. And he's like, come on, today's such a perfect day. And there he sat. By this time he was too weak to get in the wheelchair, so they wheeled his bed out the back. They have these giant windows that actually scrunch together and the whole back wall opens up. It was so beautiful. And they wheeled the bed out there, gave him his cigarette and his coffee. I swear, the man was so easy to make happy. He said, I'm sitting here and look at this gorgeous view. Sitting here with my beautiful girl, got my cigarette, my coffee. Today couldn't be more perfect. They moved the bed back in to the room shortly after that as it was getting dark, and Chris went to sleep that night and he never gained consciousness again. His mom and I were sitting there and I was like, I'm happy he's still here, but I just don't want him to suffer anymore. When he sat up and tried to talk to us after being out all night, no consciousness, and I said, babe, I can see you're trying to talk to me, but I can't understand you. And he pounded his fist as if he was frustrated, probably thinking this woman. I walked over to him and the nurse came in and he was gone within a couple minutes. This has been the roughest year of my life because my soulmate passed away, my best friend, and because the world got so much darker when that light went out. He was so great to everyone. He just cared about everybody, and I understood that he just wanted to make sure everything was okay. That was him. He loved 100%. He fixed broken pieces in me that he never broke and that I never thought could be repaired. So if you knew Chris, continue to tell his jokes. Continue to tell his story, talk about him, because he's amazing. And more people should be like him. Love wholeheartedly, without hesitation. What are you doing?
You mean? Wow.
What? Yeah, look at my face. Look at this. Move my mask.
Jog your slow ass over there.
You good?
I didn't see you doing fucking shit.
Yes.
Vibing, what do you mean?
What is your fucking face doing?
That's so rude!
No. What is your face
Wow! Jason just asked me what's wrong with my face.
doing? Come and take it.
Move back to normal watch.
What?
PJ! Do you hear what he just said? He wants to know what's wrong with my face. Is there anything wrong with my face?
Almost back there.
Oh, it's not now because it's you.
I don't think so.
Now
See?
do the other one.
What?
Pull
I
that
only
face.
have
Another
one
word with it.
face, motherfucker!
Your eyebrows were doing all weird twitchy shit.
Wow. Gary, he says something's wrong with my face.
Okay, you want to know something?
Now there's something wrong with your face, bitch.
Oh.